Here it comes from the fabulous penthouse studios of Business 1110 KTEK. This is The Price is Right. This is The Price of Business. Author of the hugely influential Empowerment to the People, award-winning, nationally syndicated columnist, Kevin Price brings a fresh perspective to business news and the events that shape our lives. And now, here is the star of The Price of Business, Kevin Price.
And welcome to the show. I am Bill Knapik, sitting in for Kevin Price. You may know me from two other radio shows, Successful Living with Bill Knapik and Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, and you can hear those shows every Saturday. Successful Living at 10:30 a.m. on 100.7 FM, and Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title every Saturday at 1 o'clock on 100.7 FM. So we're excited about that, and we have a great show today. I mentioned Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, the title business, real estate, the American dream, and today we are very pleased to have the sales director for Houston, Texas of Stewart Title. Her name is Betty Warren. And Betty, thank you and welcome to the show.
Well, hi, Bill. Thank you.
Isn't it exciting to talk about Stewart Title on The Price of Business this morning?
Absolutely. You know, it's exciting to talk about Stewart Title anytime.
Yeah, that's what I say. So, first of all, Betty, a lot of people, there are so many real estate transactions that take place all over the world, the United States, but certainly Houston, Texas, as we've had such an exciting market. But tell people, buyers and sellers, when they go to that closing table, they know title companies from the closing table. When the closing takes place, they just want to get the keys and they want to get their check. Tell people about what actually happens with the title process.
Well, Bill, there's a lot of things that happen with the title process. I think probably the number one thing is that we are very, very fortunate to be the people who preside over the actual closing, and we're the ones who get to fulfill that American dream that you just mentioned. The lender, the real estate agent, the buyer, the seller, they've been working on the transaction for several weeks, sometimes a month or two. And when they get to us, it's the day that they're actually going to get those keys, as you said, and walk away. We've been busy since the time that sales contract was brought to us, verifying that the taxes have been paid, verifying that the owner is as represented on the contract, looking at the documents to make sure that there aren't going to be any defects in the title when that happy family takes possession of their new home.
And it's interesting, there are so many components to the process, as you've described a few. It's almost like making a Swiss watch. I can see the pieces fit together in a precise way. And again, the culmination is that real estate closing.
It is. It's definitely a ballet performance.
Well, tell people, Betty, about Stewart Title. Certainly we have a great heritage right here in Texas and in Houston, Texas. But tell people some of the things they may not know about Stewart Title.
Well, of course, we are the hometown title company. We're the fourth largest title company in the nation. Began down in 1893 in Galveston, Texas. Our beautiful historic building still there, still operated every day at 222 Kempner. From there, the family came into Houston in the late 50s and then started to expand across the state, across the nation, and ultimately around the world. We operate in about 40 countries now around the world, as well as all the states of the United States. Right here locally, we have 36 offices spread across 5-county area, and we're set up to meet the needs of every type of buyer, and that's in Houston a wide variety. Title itself is still run by the fifth generation Morris. Mr. Matt Morris is our CEO right here in Houston, Texas, as well as Mr. Stewart Morris Sr., who still can be seen at 1980 Post Oak a couple of times a week, sometimes wearing his Stewart plaid jacket.
That's right. And he looks great in that jacket.
He does. He is an inspiration to all of us.
1893. Now, I'm not that great at math, but that's over 122 years ago.
It is. October the 16th, we'll roll into yet another year.
That is a long time. Well, also, going back to that real estate closing, Betty, what should people know about the protection that a title policy provides? Because I don't think they always think about it, and they just think it's one of the components of the closing, and then they just move on. But how does that title policy protect the buyer?
Well, one of the first things we want to think about, of course, is the cost. And with a title policy, you pay it one time, and it's in effect for the amount of the policy as long as the purchaser owns the property or their immediate heirs. And what that means, Bill, is that if a claim arises against the title, such as an outstanding heir may show up, or a back due taxes may get presented, then the title policy is there to defend the owner against those claims. And the claims are varied. You know, actually, when I read the list, sometimes I get kind of scared myself. Documents that have been executed under false or expired powers of attorney. We protect against undisclosed heirs, defects in acknowledgments, gaps in the chain of title, deeds that might have been issued by minors, various community property issues, utility easements, special tax assessments, rights of divorced parties. Gosh, do I need to go on?
Wow,
it's
there's a lot.
List.
Well, we could tell people to go to Stewart.com and they can see all those things and more. And you really just scratched the surface, but the protection that you get from the title policy is huge, and it stays with that owner as long as they own the home, right? They pay that premium once.
Once, as long as they own it, and, Bill, as long as their immediate heirs own it.
Well, now, Betty, I told everyone you are the sales director supreme of Houston. You are tremendous at your job, and you inspire business development officers all over this city. Tell people about your role just briefly and what the business development officer is.
Well, of course, I have the best job in the company. Houston is a wonderful market to work in real estate. It's especially wonderful to be working for Stewart Title. We have a sales team of 15 professionals that work across the 5-county area, from the Woodlands out to Katy, Sugar Land, down to Lake Jackson, Galveston, over to Clear Lake, up to Tascasita, Kingwood, and all parts in between. As business development officers, our sales team is looking for ways to assist the realtor and add value to the transaction. It's a very emotional time purchasing a property. It's a very cumbersome and lengthy ordeal in the state of Texas, and our job is to do everything we can to make it as smooth and pleasant for the consumer, for the ultimate purchaser or the seller, as we can, and assist both the lender, the realtor, and every party to the transaction.
And there are many title companies in Houston, Betty, and there are many distinctions, I would say, with Stewart Title. But one of those distinctions are the business development officers that are around the city. In fact, I'm honored to be one of those 15 you mentioned. So it is a great position, and we are one of the distinctions of doing business with Stewart Title, right?
Absolutely. It's the people that make the difference. And just, if you just go back to that 1893 and you say, wow, how does a company continue to be viable for that many years, run by the same family? How does it continue to be they continue to be at the top of their game, have a powerful market share? How do we have employees? There's many people in our sales team, Bill, that have been here 15, 20 years.
Indeed.
Our escrow officers, some of them over 30 years. When you have associates who stay with a company that long, it's because it's a wonderful company to work for. They treat the employees wonderful, and the customers also enjoy coming back.
Very nice. And Betty, I want to say, as you mentioned, the seasoned business development people at Houston, I want to mention two brand new ones, if I could. And at our Heights office in the center of the city, we have Megan Henderson, and you could reach people at the Heights at 713-401-1850. Great real estate transactions taking place there. Megan is going to tear it up. And in our memorial office, where I office, the great Natasha Livingston. How about those two individuals?
Oh, amazing. We are so thrilled to have both those ladies on the sales team. Both of them bring a new dimension to our group and I am looking forward to watching them blossom and grow.
And as I am. And also our memorial office is 713-468-8900. Ladies and gentlemen, Betty Warren, Sales Director with Stewart Title Houston. Thank you, Betty, for being on the show.
My pleasure. You have a great time today, and we'll be looking forward to seeing all these listeners at the closing table.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, Betty Warren, you're listening to The Price of Business. Stay tuned. We're coming back with even more.